Call to order the City of Lubbock Charter Review Committee for 2021. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you for agreeing to serve on this committee. I look forward to working with each one of you as we review the charter of the City of Lubbock and make recommendations to City Council. Before we get into introductions, I'd like to invite the mayor to come to the podium and deliver some opening remarks. Mr. Mayor.
Good morning. It's good to be on this side of the podium for once. Thanks for letting me share just a few comments with you this morning. First of all, I want to echo what James had to say. Thanks for serving. This is important work, and we're thankful that you're willing to do it. We chose to go with the committee of 7. Each of one of you, all of you appointed by one council member, and the chair appointed by the mayor. We felt like with sufficient public input that the 7 of you could move in a fashion that you could make some recommendations to us by the early part of the summer, which I think is doable. And I think you'll understand that today when staff starts to take you through this. I think it's just interesting to go back for the last 5 years. Karen will even recall this because we served together, but every year when we had our planning meeting in the fall, I asked the council if there was a desire to look at the charter. And it was a no. And then finally this last fall, it was a yes, maybe it's time. And I think the things that I heard the council say was that, and we heard citizens say, and Mr. Hernandez is here today. He's one of the ones that we've heard from this about this, but that maybe compensation needs to be looked at with the idea that a different type of compensation for elected officials might broaden or deepen the pool of potential council members and mayor. There was some discussion around terms. The mayor's term is 2 years, council members are 4 years. There's some question about that. I think the item that I'm most interested in is just the modernization. As you dig through this, you're going to find there's a lot of places where this charter needs to be, I think, at least looked at modernizing it. And then I think there's other items that have been talked about, whether in the community or in council meetings. The term limits is one. The petition process is another. I think those are things that come to my mind. That certainly that we're really the only thing we're going to ask you to sort of leave alone right now is LP&L. Just because of what we're going through with ERCOT right now, we think we all will talk about that. If you had a real compelling reason to promote something there, we would certainly listen to you. But there's really nothing off limits, and other than that, we would like you to report back to us in June. So it's about 90 days worth of work. You'll be very well supported. The city secretary and her team will lead the way. But you also have great support from Amy Sims and the city attorney's office. Amy's our resident expert, having been with the city for more than 25 years and having been through a number of these charter review and update efforts. Today you've got Deputy City Manager Howerton here. You may be joined later by City Manager Mr. Atkinson. We're both doing a COVID press conference and this at the same time, so he may be here. And then you'll also have support from the council staff. So I look forward to you going about your work. I'm not going to be here to look over your shoulder. I trust the 7 of you can do a very good job. If you need us, you want to call us in for something at some point, I'm more than willing to join you. But we'll let you guys do your work, and we'll look forward to getting your recommendations sometime early this summer. So Once again, thank you. Thank you for serving our community, and go to work, Mr. Arnold.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate those comments. Let's do introductions, and I'm going to start to my right with Mr. Gomez in District 1. Tell us who you are, what you do here in Lubbock, maybe how long you've lived in the city, and we'll go from there.
Good morning. My name is Jimmy Gomez, and I've lived here pretty much all my life. And I've been around I think I remember Karen and remember a lot of city councilmen and go back a long time, but I've been here interested to serve as many times as I could possibly can and make a difference. And so I currently work at Happy Bank as a small business banker, and I look forward to working with you guys, and hopefully we can come up with something positive for the city.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. Ms. Spencer.
Good morning. I am Shannon Spencer, and I too have lived in Lubbock all of my life except 6 months. And those 6 months was like, go back home. And I have been in nonprofit for the last 22 years. I work for Girl Scouts. I'm extremely proud to serve our community. I've sat on previous boards before, and looking forward to seeing the differences, looking forward to being a part of the change. I live in the eastern part of Lubbock. I'm very proud to be a homeowner there, and just proud to be a Lubbockite, and looking forward to seeing what will come out of this work.
Thank you, Shannon. Mike.
Mike McDougall. I see a trend here. So we're all lifetime Lubbock people, minus about 8 years for me. I decided somebody told me life was better in Dallas, and I had to go check that out. And I decided no, it's not. And so I'm back. But I have interest in real estate across the city, downtown. We have a lot of experience in looking at older things and trying to modernize them. So maybe some of that skill is going to come in handy here. So I look forward to the work. I told the council that I'd carve out whatever time it took. So
Great.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Mike. Bill.
My name is Bill Curnow. Unlike others, I've only lived here about 31 years. It took me a while to get here. I did live internationally and throughout the United States, so I have been in a lot of different environments prior to coming to Lubbock. I work in agriculture on the IT side of the information systems security side of agriculture here in town, which is an interesting position to be in. And looking forward to this process. This is a good thing to occasionally look at our governing document and see what changes need to be made. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Bill. Karen.
My name is Karen Gibson. I've lived here all my life. I actually served on the city council from 2010 to 2018. I think I might have been one of the council members that wanted a charter change for a while, but I was also one of the council members that when I first came on, we voted the committee that had done the previous work that was voted down. And so I've kind of seen both sides of that picture. So I was thrilled when they called and asked me to be on this committee. I think a lot of work has already been done that we can look at, and I'm very excited to move forward and see what we can do moving forward. It's a needed change.
Glad you're on it. Jeff.
Thank you, Chairman. Jeff Lansdale. I have collectively, I guess, lived in Lubbock about 25 years. Came to school here at Texas Tech, originally not from Lubbock. Went to Texas Tech and then had a career for about 8-9 years, and then been back for about 18 years now. So happy to be back in Lubbock, and looking forward to serving on the committee. I currently work for Quext in operations, or VP of operations there. So they're a subsidiary of Madera Residential. So looking forward to it.
Good. Thank you. I'm James Arnold. I'm serving as the chairman of this committee. I've been in Lubbock a little over 22 years, born and raised in Odessa, Texas. Came to graduate school at Texas Tech and never left. So raised our family here. My kids went to Monterey High School. They all live down in Austin now, and we're happy to be in Lubbock, happy to be a part of this committee. I look forward to serving with you guys. I believe in transparency. I believe in communication back and forth. I look forward to serving with you guys. I was on the Lubbock School Board for 15 years. Starting with Dan and Steve in that capacity, and look forward to digging into the charter, modernizing some of the things, taking some of the things that Karen learned as city council member, and getting the city modernized on the charter, cleaning up some things, and then really digging into some of the meat of the topics that we all kind of know are facing us as a committee. So with that, we will move out of introductions and do the administration of the statement of appointed officers and oath of office. Who do I turn that over to?
To me.
Becky, go ahead.
Yes. Okay, before we start that, I'm going to just let you know, you have your statement of appointed officer. It's also called an anti-bribery statement. It's in front of you. You have your oath of office in front of you. Don't sign it yet until we take that. And then you have a confidentiality statement, and that is, fill that out, get it back to us, because we can protect your home information with that if you want us to. And then you have a conflict of interest, and I think Courtney, maybe, have you emailed him, Courtney? Courtney will email you a list of all the vendors that we have here at the City of Lubbock currently. It'll be electronic. You can take a look and fill that out if you have any conflicts of interest. I don't know that any of that will come before you, but in case it does, you know, we will know.
So would you bring back the conflict of interest statement at our next meeting? Is that what we'll do?
Yeah, we can do that. Yes.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Okay.
And for the statement of elected and oath of office, we're going to stand up here in a little bit and I'm going to administer that. The Article 16 of the Texas Constitution requires all elected and appointed officers to take this. Here in our city of Lubbock, the city council has policy and procedures for boards and commissions. So they apply that to our advisory boards. And that's what we're going to do that. And once you take your oath, you're actually confirming your commitment to the citizens of Lubbock. So if we will all stand, we're going to start with the anti-bribery statement, the statement of appointed officer. Raise your right hand and then just repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment, to secure my appointment. So help me God. Okay, we're going to do the oath of office. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Charter Review Committee member of the City of Lubbock, State of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. Y'all are official. Thank you.
Well, congratulations on being official. We will now hold an executive session today for the purpose of consulting with city staff regarding pending or contemplated litigation or settlement agreement, and hold consultation with our attorney under section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. So we are now in executive session.
The amendment to the city charter. The city charter is, for all intents and purposes, the constitution for the city of Lubbock. There are 13 parts to it. And it goes from everything from general governance to also specifically how your council people are elected, to how citizens have the ability to ask for legislation to be put on for city ordinances. In addition, it also governs the ability for the city to raise taxes, to use the power of eminent domain. It governs also our electric utility. There are parts of it, of course, over the 100-year history that we've had the charter that may be antiquated or no longer in force. For example, there's a provision in the charter that relates to our auditorium coliseum. We no longer have that because the public executed that portion of the charter that said they could have an election to abandon it. They did so. So that section of the charter is no longer valid, and maybe we need to take that out. That is one of the considerations. What we ask for this board or for this committee is that we be mindful of what this document does, that it actually governs the city of Lubbock, that it basically tells us how it's the nature of what we have as our government. So the effects of what you do is going to be, could have a great impact on the citizens of the city of Lubbock. With that, if y'all have any questions specifically about the charter, I'm happy to answer those.
Sorry, any questions regarding the city charter process? Methodology charter review, did you cover that also, Amy, as well?
I have not, but I can. As the mayor alluded to before, I was in the process in 2010. There are many ways that this board can decide to tackle this job. The one previous, when the committee looked at it, they actually took up each section individually, discussed it, and then voted as to whether to do any changes to that or not. And that is something that we could do. Another option is for the committee to decide that there are important sections of the charter and tackle those and just keep focused on that. So it's going to be really up to the committee on how in-depth that they want to go into this review process. And that's something for y'all to discuss today. I think it's something that we probably need to go ahead and outline since we have a, kind of a short time frame. It's such an important document, as I said before, that I don't think that we want to take this too lightly. I think that we want to be able to give it all the consideration it's due, because, we're not able to amend this at every election. We can only do it every 2 years. So I think that's something for the board to discuss, how you want to approach doing the review of the charter.
Any questions regarding that? I've got a couple of comments on that. I would like to almost create a consent agenda for the cleanup items that are regarding state law or the Coliseum that's no longer in existence. Those things, I don't know, need to really require a lot of discussion. Those are just kind of cleanup items that I think, I think we have a mention of those in our package, in our charter review notebook. Those things that are kind of some cleanup items, and save our time, reserve our time for discussion for things that probably have a lot of need of input, whether that be compensation of mayor and city council, of some other things that, kind of are on our agenda from what our citizens are going to tell us in our citizen comment sections in our public hearings. So anybody have any comments or objection to kind of on the cleanup items, get them all together? I believe they're in our document. If anybody has any questions, we can raise those now, or we can bring them back at the next meeting, but that's kind of what my intention would be.
Mr. Chairman, I would agree with that. The only other thing, can we make that pretty broad just to include all cleanup items? Because there's some language cleanup that needs to be done also. Can
Yes.
you make that pretty broad?
And I can look at how broad we can take that.
Okay.
What I would ask, for the board, because I do know the last time they did some cleanup items, but they didn't do all.
Right.
Now, if the committee would wish, staff can work and get a kind of a general overview of those cleanup items to bring back to y'all for y'all's consideration. If you want to charge us with doing that, just taking a look at the charter and saying it's just purely cleanup. Here's what we say are pure cleanup items. Some of the things that were done in the past committee, I will also say it's been 10 years. There's been changes in state law and everything like that. I think that we would need to be able, staff needs to be able to go take a look at that and make sure that that's still good. And to include those. So if it's what y'all would like, I can work with, of course, the city manager's office and the city secretary's office, and we can go through and get those cleanup items that are just pure cleanup items and bring that back to the committee.
I'd recommend that. Does anybody have any objection to that?
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I think as kind of two separate items, the first one is, these are the things that we agree need to be cleaned up. And then more, farther down the road, talking about how those might appear on the ballot, because I mean, we may well change our mind when we get to the end and go, yeah, we wanted all that cleaned up, but we don't want 15 things on the ballot. So I just think considering those as two separate things, I think it'd be wise.
Let's take a look and see what they are.
Yeah.
See how broad we can get them so we don't have 32 cleanup items, and we really want people to see the 34th and 35th item to vote on. I don't want to muddy up the water on some of the real meat of the issues we're going to discuss. So I agree with Mike. Let's look at that. Let's get it on the agenda to discuss next time. I agree with Karen. Let's see which ones are the state cleanup items, what's changed in the last 10 years that might affect that list, and see kind of where we go from there. And that could be something we can address at our next meeting.
True. And I want to make sure we don't major on the minors too. So I'm
Yep.
good with that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. All right. Ms. Sims, anything else?
I think that's.
Okay.
that's-
All right. Our next item for discussion is future meeting dates. We need to get 2 public hearings, at least one of them scheduled if we can today. If we can get 2 of them scheduled, we need to have 2 of them. I'd rather have them early in our process to gather as much information as we can from our citizens. There was some debate or some talk possibly about having one later in the process. I think that later in the process would be for citizens to take whatever we recommend to the city council, the citizen comment section of kind of grading our paper of what we recommend. That's for the city council to hear because they're going to vote on what we recommend. I'd rather have input for us early, us debate it, deliberate it, and then present what we want to the mayor's office and the city council. So anybody have an objection? I think Abby might have sent something out about maybe March the 30th, which is a Tuesday evening, next Tuesday evening for citizen or for public hearing after maybe 5:30 in the evening to allow people to complete their workday and come give appropriate comments. That would be the initial public hearing. Any objection to that date? I'll give everybody a chance to check their iPhones for calendars.
What time, sir?
5:30, and we'll do it in this room. Is that right, Becky? Okay. And it'll be just a public hearing. I don't know that we'll deliberate. Will we have an agenda, Amy, to talk about first? And then we can adjourn into the public hearing. Is that how we'll do that? However we want to do it.
How do you want to? If you want to just take the public comment first and then have deliberation afterwards, you can do that as well.
Well, okay. So on the agenda, we'll have maybe some of the cleanup items that we can talk about briefly and then go straight into a public hearing. And then if we want to have time to deliberate what we hear from the citizens, we can. We can always not do that if we run out of time or there's not a whole lot to discuss. So we'll have the agenda reflect that. The cleanup items, we'll have public hearing, and then we'll have a spot to deliberate. And then will we have a section reserved for executive session if we need it? Okay, let's do that.
And Mr. Chair, for the public hearing, we can open it up via Zoom as well and have people submit their comments, and then we can read those comments if that's the pleasure of the board.
Thank you for bringing that up. We are available. So if for some reason you can't attend this meeting in person, you are allowed to attend via Zoom. If that is your preference or your schedule doesn't allow you to attend in person, we are allowed to attend these meetings via Zoom. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so March 30th, that works for everybody, 5:30, Tuesday evening. I'd like to get another one scheduled. I would prefer to do it in the evening as well for the second meeting. We have the ability to do that at any time. I think for our citizens, I think an evening meeting would kind of afford their schedules after work a little bit better. I'm open to what the pleasure of the committee would be. Maybe that first week of April, that gets Easter behind us. Anybody have any objection to April 6th or 7th?
I think on Wednesday, the 7th, is church night for a lot of people, so I think the 6th would work.
Okay. Mike, Shannon?
We do have a District 5 Town Hall that night at 6:30. So that could cause some conflict as far as staff availability.
Okay.
Thursdays tend to also be good for folks, maybe Thursday that week.
Yeah, I'm out of town the 8th.
Okay.
What about the next week?
Yeah, how about the 13th?
The
The
13th?
next Tuesday.
Any city scheduling problems on the 13th?
That is a city council meeting date, so we
Yeah.
could not have it in the evening.
What about the
I do see that Abby has put through on our calendars, maybe just mine, the 31st during the day, the 7th during the day, just for a regular meeting and maybe not a public hearing.
Okay. I'm good on the 7th at lunch for a regular meeting.
Mhm.
Does that work for everybody?
On the 7th
Yes, for just
Okay.
a
for a regular meeting?
regular meeting, kind of the same cadence as today, 11 o'clock, we'll have lunch. We'll start a meeting
That's fine.
11:30 and be done hopefully by 12:30 or 1. Okay, April 7th.
So should we delete the placeholder for March 31st during lunch as well?
Yeah,
We're
because we're gonna
combine
have
it
a,
all on the 30th.
we'll have a public hearing on the 30th. We'll do our meeting that day as well. At 5:30, April 7th will be our regular meeting at 11 o'clock.
We could do the public hearing on the 14th.
That gets into Jimmy's Wednesday evening. Thursday, the 15th.
We're, our calendars appear clear.
How about that? That used to be tax day back in the good old days. Now it's not anymore. April 15th. Jeff, that work for you? Ms. Gibson?
For the 6th, right?
No, for the 6th. Regular meeting on the 7th, 11 o'clock. And then our second public hearing will be April 15th, Thursday evening at 5:30.
Okay.
Probably, yes. We'll post it for a meeting on that day as well.
I like that better. It gives a couple of weeks between public hearings,
Mhm.
discuss whatever we hear, and then we come back and see if we hear anything different.
Okay.
For clarification, did you say we were having a meeting after the 30th public hearing?
Yes, ma'am. Either right before or right after, we'll have a brief meeting to consider the cleanup items that Ms. Sims is going to get for us.
And I would ask that maybe we consider those like April 7th, just to give staff a little bit more time, because again, that cleanup item may unintentionally have other effects. So I'd
Okay.
rather not go fast, especially since y'all won't have a lot of consideration on those. I
Okay,
just want to make sure that we get
so
correct.
we'll post for a brief meeting either before or after the public hearing, but it will not have the cleanup items. We'll give the staff until April 7th to get that researched, deliberated internally, et cetera. So 11 a.m. lunch served on April 7th, meeting at 11:30. We'll be done by 1 o'clock. Second public hearing, April 15th at 5:30. Those will be the only two public hearings we schedule for now. If we have an overwhelming response to public and citizen comments, we'll maybe schedule a third one, but hopefully we can get by with just two of those on citizen comments. And my goal would have us wrap up our work here by the end of May, first part of June, to present to city council our recommendations, to allow them time to deliberate, have citizen comments on that, and then post for appropriate election if they decide to move forward with our recommendations. And I guess they could, Ms. Sims, they could take all of our recommendations, part of them, or none of them. Is that kind of how that works?
That is correct.
Okay. So my goal would be to try to work around midweek for regular scheduled meetings, whether we meet every week or every other week or whatever. but try to reserve, if you can, Wednesdays around the noon hour for meetings. Does that work for everybody, kind of as a standard standing meeting time? Okay. We'll try to do our best, minus the public hearings. We'll try to set these meetings for Wednesday around 11. Does that work for you, Bill?
Works for me.
Okay. Okay, it's 12:42. I don't know that we have anything else to come before this committee this morning. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, hearing that, we'll adjourn. It's 12:42. Thank you for your time, city staff. Thank you for lunch. Thank you for your review and closed session on city charter. We stand adjourned at 12:42 p.m. Thank you.